Alright guys, we finally got our July 2026 issue of Cavarola, and let's kick it off with this article titled An Ancestor Under Fire, The Cultural and Environmental Impact of RIMPAC by Tanaka and Lene. For many Hawaii families who live in communities near or adjacent to military bases, the sounds of war and the byproducts of military training activities are woven into daily life. One example is Waimanalo, Oahu, where children fall asleep to the thunder of explosions, the echo of gunfire, and the rumble of military aircraft shaking the windows of their houses on military training days. Meanwhile, along Kahavai o Puha, community members work to restore a stream that once sustained thriving lo'ikalo fisheries and food systems while confronting contamination caused by decades of military corruption. These impacts on land and surrounding communities demand far greater attention and discussion, but they are only part of the story. What harms do military training activities, including this month's Rim of the Pacific exercises, RIMPAC, inflict on the ocean and its physical, cultural, and ancestral connections to Hawaii and their people? The ocean as ancestor, relative, and responsibility. Answering this question first requires an understanding of what the ocean means to Kanaka Mo'oli, Hawaiians, and all who call Hawaii home. For Kanaka Mo'oli, the ocean is woven into genealogy, identity, and purpose. The Kumulipo traces the origins of life through successive stages of po, where early life emerges from the sea. It situates humans within a continuum of existence that begins in the ocean and extends through land, sky, and the spiritual realm, binding people to the natural world through ancestry. This ancestral grounding shapes the kuleana to care for all aina, including the ocean, which has fed families, connected communities, guided navigation, and provided spaces for ceremony and learning for millennia. Ocean-based practices such as kilo, observation, and the management of local ia, fish ponds, reflect enduring pilina among people, aina, and akua. The ocean also carries cultural memory and embodies long-standing genealogical responsibilities. When our ocean is harmed, the damage is not merely ecological. Families lose access to gathering areas, cultural practices erode, and ancestral knowledge becomes harder to pass on. For Kanaka Mo'oli, harm to the ocean is harm to kupuna and to the source of life itself. RIMPAC, military exercises in our ocean waters. RIMPAC and similar ocean impacting exercises extend beyond conventional Western measures of environmental harm. The following examples underscore the need for greater attention to these overlooked impacts. Land-based pollution. On land, military exercises, including those that occurred during RIMPAC, invariably introduce toxic contaminants to MOCA environments where they can be transported into near-shore ocean waters via streams, runoff, and even air. For example, testing has documented lead, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and additional contaminants in the wetlands of Waimanalo, just one of the several areas used for combat training on Oahu. These pollutants pose risks to aquatic ecosystems and the local communities they sustain. Other military training sites like Pohakuloa have also been associated with high levels of toxic pollutants, including PFAS, forever chemicals, trichlorethrin, arsenic, beryllium, lead, and dioxins, as well as the historical use of depleted uranium munitions. These long-lasting contaminants can easily make their way to the ocean via groundwater and runoff into adjacent streams. Finally, runaway fires from military training, such as the nearly 900 fires associated with military training at Pohakuloa, also rapidly accelerate the spread of toxic compounds to the air, across the landscape, and inevitably into the sea. Water pollution. RIMPAC 2026 will bring more than 40 ships, 25,000 personnel to Hawaii. Environmental impact statements indicate that when docked at Pearl Harbor, warships will offload wastewater for treatment, likely at the Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam facility. Given its history of unlawful discharges and an $8.7 million Clean Up Water Act penalty in 2022, added strain on this dilapidated facility increases the risk of yet another massive sewage leak into our ocean. At sea, ships may dump treated or untreated wastewater directly into the ocean, depending on their distance from shore. Sewage system failures, such as those that sidelined the USS Gerald R. Ford and USS George H.W. Bush, could also result in releases closer to land. Other pollutants from firefighting foams to oils, solvents, and other toxic chemicals used on military equipment, weapons, and vehicles may also be released at sea or in port due to accidents, training exercises, deck washdowns, or rain. Stay tuned for part 2.